Hi, my name is Maya, and I'm 5 years old when this happened. This was when my family moved into a big white house on Maple Street in Asheville, North Carolina. It had a wraparound porch, a giant tree swing, and so many windows it looked like it had 100 eyes. We moved in at the beginning of summer. The sun was shining, birds were singing, and Mom and Dad were smiling the whole time. They said this was our dream home. But dreams can turn into nightmares. It started with a letter. We hadn't even unpacked our boxes when Dad found it in the mailbox. It didn't have a stamp. It wasn't mailed. It was just there, hand-delivered. The front said, "To the new family at 117 Maple Street." Inside, the letter was written in neat, swirly letters. No name. Just strange words like, "Welcome to your new home. I've been watching this house for a long time. Now I watch you." Dad thought it was a joke, but Mom didn't laugh. She folded the letter and put it in a drawer. The next morning, another one came. This time it said, "I see you have a little girl. She likes to color at the kitchen table. Does she like the window above her?" When Mom read that out loud, I got cold all over. Because I had been coloring at the kitchen table, right under the window. I looked up at it. It was open just a crack, just enough for someone to see me, from outside. Mom locked it tight, and Dad called the police. They came with notepads and flashlights and walked around the house. But there was no one there. No footprints, no cameras, just more windows, watching us like eyes. That night, we all slept in the same room. Even our dog, Waffles, curled up at the foot of the bed. But I couldn't sleep. I kept staring at the curtains, wondering if someone was out there, staring in. The next letter came 2 days later. This one said, "I walk past your house at night. The walls whisper secrets to me. I know your schedules. I know when the child goes to sleep." Mom started crying. Dad's hands shook. He took the letter to the police again, but they couldn't find who was writing them. No fingerprints, no cameras saw anyone. Just empty streets and too many windows. We stopped playing outside. We stopped opening the curtains. I stopped coloring by the window. But the letters kept coming. They started calling the person the window watcher. That's what the newspapers said. It sounded like a monster from a bedtime story. But this wasn't a story. It was real. One morning, I found a letter on my bedroom floor. It wasn't in an envelope. It just said, "Hello, little girl. Did you like the toy I left for you in the tree?" My heart thumped like a big drum. I ran to the tree outside and looked in the branches. There, sitting on a low limb, was a tiny carved wooden bunny. I screamed. Mom rushed out, and Dad grabbed it with a towel and threw it in a bag. The police came again. But nothing changed. That night, we didn't sleep in the house. We left and went to Grandma's house in Boone, 3 hours away. I brought Waffles and my blankie, but I still felt like someone was watching. We never went back. Dad sold the house just a month later. We left the swing, the porch, and the creepy windows behind. But not the memory. And the window watcher? They were never caught. No name, no face, just letters. And the feeling that someone, somewhere, is still watching. Hi, my name is Ella, and I live in a small red brick house in Liverpool, near Sefton Park. I was 5 years old when this happened, and I live with my mom and my big brother Toby. This story is about something really scary that happened one summer afternoon, and I still get chills when I think about it. It started on a warm, sunny day. The sky was bright blue, and birds were chirping in the trees. I had just come back from feeding ducks at the park with Mom. I was drawing a picture at the kitchen table while Mom made spaghetti. Everything felt happy and safe. Then, ding dong! The doorbell rang. Mom peeked through the window. There was a woman standing on the front step. She wore a long gray coat and held a black folder. She smiled, but it didn't feel like a real smile. It was too big, too wide, too still. I stopped coloring and looked at Mom. She opened the door just a little bit, with the chain still on. "Yes?" Mom asked. "Hello, I'm from the Children's Welfare Office," the woman said. Her voice was smooth, like someone reading a bedtime story, but it didn't sound friendly. "We received a report. I need to check on the little girl." Mum's eyebrows squished together. "What report?" "I've never heard of any checkups." The woman didn't blink. She just held up her black folder and said, "It's very important. I must come inside and see the child." When she said that, my tummy did a little flip. Mum stayed calm. "Can I see your ID, please?" The woman paused. Her smile didn't move. Her hand stayed still. Then she said, "Oh, I forgot it. But don't worry, I'm allowed." Mum frowned and closed the door just a bit more. "I'm sorry, but I can't let you in without ID." The woman leaned in close, her face right near the door. Her eyes looked bigger now. "I must see the child," she whispered. Mum shut the door fast and locked it tight. My heart was pounding like a drum. Mum ran to the back window and peeked out. The woman didn't leave. She just stood there, still smiling, still staring. Then she turned around and walked to our neighbor's house. Mum called the police. She talked fast and serious. I clung to her leg. My spaghetti was cold, and my crayons had rolled off the table. A police officer came really fast. His name was Officer Daniel. He was nice and had a kind face. Mum told him everything. But when he went to the neighbor's house, the woman was already gone. She had vanished. Officer Daniel told Mum that other families in Liverpool had seen someone like her too. A strange person who said they were from child services, but had no name, no badge, and no real job. "They're being called the Phantom Social Worker," he said. Toby's mouth dropped open. "A real phantom." Officer Daniel nodded. "Maybe not a ghost, but someone pretending, and very dangerous." After he left, Mum made sure all the doors were locked. She pulled the curtains shut. That night, I slept in Mum's bed. We kept the lights on. The next morning, Mum checked the CCTV from our front porch. And guess what? There was no sound. But the video showed something strange. When the woman turned around, her shadow didn't match her steps. It moved too slowly, too smoothly, like it was sliding behind her instead of walking. I couldn't stop thinking about her eyes. Big, blinkless, empty. The police never found her. No one did. That summer, more families said the same thing had happened to them. All around the UK, Manchester, Brighton, even Glasgow. Someone would knock, say they had to see the child, but no one had called them. No records, no ID, no proof. Just a smile and a black folder. We never saw her again. But every time the doorbell rings now, I freeze. I peek from behind the curtains. I wait, and I wonder, is it the postman, or is it her? The phantom visitor, coming back to finish what she started. Hi, my name is Andy. I live in Corpus Christi, Texas, right next to the water. One night, something really scary happened to me and my best friend, Charlie. It was summer, and the sun had just gone down. My friend Charlie and I were done with our chores and decided to ride my dad's little boat. It's not very fast, but it floats and makes bubbles when it moves, so we love it. We took some juice boxes, some snacks, and set off into the bay. The sky was turning purple, and the water was quiet, just a little wiggly. We laughed, splashed, and listened to music from another boat that was nearby. There were 2 boats floating there already, and we parked ours right between them. At first it was fun. We danced on the boat. We waved at the boat on the left and shouted, "Hello!" But they just turned their music off. The other boat didn't make any sound at all. Then Charlie said, "Andy, look." I turned around. The boat on the right, the quiet one, had 3 people standing on it. They weren't waving. They weren't talking. They were just staring at us. At first, I giggled. I thought maybe they were trying to scare us for fun. But Charlie didn't laugh. He just stared back and said, "They're not right." The sun was all gone now, and their boat lights made their faces hard to see. They were just shadows now. I stood up and shouted with my toy megaphone, "Hello! What are you looking at?" I was trying to be funny. That's when I heard it. A laugh, but not a happy laugh. It was deep and scratchy, like a monster trying to pretend to be a person. Charlie grabbed my arm and said, "Start the boat now!" I still didn't understand. I thought maybe it was a trick. But then, splash. We heard 2 splashes. We looked again, and now there was only one shadow standing on their boat. "Where did the others go?" I asked. Charlie didn't answer. He was already pulling up the anchor with shaky hands. I laughed again because I was nervous. But then, splish, splash, swish. We heard something moving in the water, getting closer to our boat. "Hello?" I called out. No answer. Then everything went quiet. Too quiet. Then, a hand grabbed the side of our boat. I screamed. Charlie yelled, "Andy! Start the engine!" I turned the key with shaking fingers. Another hand reached up, closer to Charlie. He raised the anchor like a baseball bat. The engine started, and I pushed it as hard as I could. Bam! We crashed into a sandy spot. I threw it in reverse, and the boat zoomed backward. Charlie dropped the anchor and looked at me with big, scared eyes. "What were they? What did they want?" he shouted. I didn't know. I just kept driving. We were almost out of the little bay when I saw something that made my heart stop. The dark boat was chasing us. Its lights were off, but it was moving fast. "No way," I whispered. I held the wheel tight. "Hold on, Charlie." The dark boat got closer and closer. We could almost see the front of it bumping the waves behind us. "They're going to catch us!" Charlie cried. We could see the lights from the docks now. I had an idea. I turned the boat hard left and headed straight for the shallow part near the shore. The other boat turned too, but then swerved the other way, like they were scared to hit the ground. "Yes!" I shouted. Charlie and I were shaking, but we made it back to the dock. We tied the boat and jumped off. We sat on the ground, out of breath. We looked at each other. Then Charlie said, "I told you that boat was bad." And I said, I know. We told our other friends what happened, but no one believed us. They laughed and said we were joking. But we know the truth. We saw the shadows. We heard the laugh. And I still wonder what would have happened if that hand had pulled just a little harder. We never saw that boat again. And now, we never ride the boat after dark. Because sometimes, someone is watching. And sometimes, they swim. Hi, my name is Benny, and I'm 20 years old now. But one summer, when I was only 5, when something really scary happened to me. I was visiting Galveston, Texas with my 2 best friends, Leo and Max. We were staying at Leo's family's little beach house. It was white and tiny and close to the water. We had hot dogs, played games, and laughed a lot that day. The beach was super busy earlier. People were swimming, building sandcastles, and flying kites. But at night, the beach turns really, really quiet. It was almost midnight when Max said, "Hey, let's go walk on the beach in the dark." At first, I didn't want to. The ocean at night looks big and black. But Leo said we could take a flashlight. So we put on our jackets, grabbed Leo's flashlight from the kitchen, and walked outside. The stars were hiding behind clouds. The boardwalk creaked under our feet as we made our way down the wooden steps. The sand felt cold between my toes. There was no one else on the beach. No kids, no dogs, no people. Just us. The ocean made a soft shh sound, like it was trying to tell us a secret. We walked close to the edge of the water. It was chilly and smelled like salt. We laughed and looked at shells. Then we sat by a big lifeguard tower and stared at the sky. That's when Leo sat up fast and said, "Do you see that?" I looked. At first I didn't see anything. Just dark sand and dark water. But then I saw it. A shadow. A tall, skinny person was walking slowly at the very edge of the water. His feet were splashing, but we didn't hear a sound. He didn't walk like a normal person. He moved. Weird. His arms didn't swing. His head was bent sideways like it was too heavy. And he walked so slow like he didn't even care we were there. We thought maybe he was just lost. But Max whispered, "Why does he look like that?" Then we got quiet. Really quiet. The man kept walking until he stopped. He stopped right in front of us. He didn't say anything. He didn't move. He just stood there, staring. "Is he looking at me?" I whispered. Leo didn't answer. He just pointed the flashlight at the man and clicked it on. The light flickered. But we saw him. Oh no. We saw him. He was pale like a ghost. He had no shirt. His jeans were wet. His arms just hung like noodles. His mouth was open, but he didn't make a sound. And his eyes, they were too big. They were open wide like he wasn't blinking. His head was still tilted at a creepy angle, and when the flashlight hit his face, he did something that made my heart stop. He started running, not like a normal run. It was like he jumped into it. 1 second he was standing still, and then, boom! He was running straight at us. "Run!" I yelled. All three of us screamed and took off across the sand. I could hear Leo breathing hard behind me. Max was yelling, "Don't look back! Just go!" We ran up the boardwalk, our feet slapping against the wood. My legs were burning, my chest hurt, but I didn't stop until we were back in the street under a bright lamp. We looked back. He was gone. No footprints, no noise, just the ocean going shh, like nothing ever happened. We ran into the house and locked all the doors and windows. We closed the curtains and didn't sleep that night. I kept listening for footsteps, wet footsteps, but I never heard them. The next day we tried to pretend it didn't happen. We told ourselves it was a silly man who liked to scare kids, but deep down, we knew it wasn't. That night, we didn't go outside. We left early the next morning. But the scary part didn't stop there. A week later, Max sent me a message. He said he was having the same dream over and over. He said he would wake up in the middle of the night, and the wet man would be standing in the corner of his room, dripping, staring, not moving, not blinking. I didn't tell him this, but I had the same dream too. Then, just last week, I saw a photo on the internet. Someone else saw him, a blurry photo at night, of a man standing at the edge of the water. Same clothes, same tilted head, same empty stare. People in the comments said he walks into the ocean and never comes back out. Someone said they found wet footprints on their back porch, even though they lived 2 streets away from the beach. But there were no footprints leading to the porch, or away from it, just footprints. I don't know what we saw that night, but I do know one thing. I'm never going back to the beach at night, ever again. Hi, my name is Chris. I'm just a regular kid who loves cartoons, ice cream, and playing outside. But something really, really scary happened to me one summer. And it all started with a man named Jaden. I met Jaden on a sunny afternoon when I was with my family at a park in Mount Shasta, California. He seemed nice at first. He wore cool sunglasses and smiled a lot. He said he liked the same baseball team I liked. We talked about the game for a while, and he even gave me a high five. I thought he was just a friendly guy. Later that day, I saw him again. This time, we were at a pizza place for my cousin Noah's birthday. My whole family was there, and everyone was laughing and eating and having fun. Then, I felt a little tap on my shoulder. It was Jaden. He said, "Hey Chris." What a surprise. I love this place. My tummy felt weird. How did he know we'd be here? I tried to smile, but something didn't feel right. My mommy asked, "Who's that man?" I said, "That's Jaden. I met him at the park." She didn't say anything, but she looked at him like she didn't like him. A few days later, Jaden messaged my dad on his phone. He said he was going hiking to see Mount Shasta and wanted to know if I could come. My dad asked me if I wanted to go, and I did want to see Mount Shasta. It's a big mountain with snow on top, even in summer. So, we said yes. Jaden picked us up in a white car. He said, "It's going to be a fun weekend, buddy." We drove up the mountain. Trees everywhere. The air smelled cold and fresh. Jaden had booked a small house where we would sleep. When we got there, it looked like a little cabin in the woods. It was quiet. Too quiet. Inside the cabin, I looked around. There was only one bed and a couch. Jaden said, "You can have the couch, Chris. I'll take the bed." That night, I pulled out the couch and snuggled under a soft blanket. I was sleepy. But in the middle of the night, I woke up. I heard footsteps. Slow, heavy footsteps. Thump, thump, thump. I peeked over the blanket and saw a shadow walking to the kitchen. It was Jaden. He was getting water. I pretended to be asleep. The next day we went hiking. Mount Shasta looked like a giant ice cream cone. Jaden took lots of pictures, but he didn't smile in any of them. He just stared. That night, something even scarier happened. I had plugged in my little tablet next to the couch before I went to sleep, but when I woke up, it wasn't there. I looked around and saw it on the table, unplugged. How did it get there? "Jaden, did you touch my tablet?" I asked. He said, "What?" "No, buddy. You must have moved it when you were sleepy." But I didn't. That night, Jaden said, "Hey, Chris, why don't you sleep in the bed tonight? I'll take the couch." I was tired, really tired. So I said, "Okay." I lay in the big bed. It was soft. I hugged my pillow and closed my eyes. Then, I woke up again. But this time, I knew something was wrong. I reached for my tablet. It was gone again. I sat up, and that's when I saw him. Jaden was on the floor next to the bed, face down, not moving. I screamed, "What are you doing?" He slowly sat up. His face was pale. He said, "Whoa. I don't know how I got here. Maybe I walked in by accident. I'm so sleepy." I didn't believe him. I asked, "Did you take my tablet?" He said, "No. Check under the bed." I looked, and he reached under before me. He pulled out my tablet and said, "See? Here it is." But I never dropped it there. That night, I told him, "You sleep on the couch. I'm locking the door." I did. I locked the door with a little twisty thing on the knob. But I still woke up. I felt something. I opened my eyes, and at the foot of the bed was a shadow. A person. Standing. Just standing. Staring. It was Jaden. He sat down on the bed, and he started rubbing my foot. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. I whispered, "Stop." He froze. Then he got up and left the room. The next morning, I told my parents everything. We packed our bags and left right away. We never saw Jaden again, but sometimes I still wake up in the middle of the night and feel something rubbing my foot.